exit the executive session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
So we know that what we're asking you to do is a big ask. We're not ignorant to that. We know that the county has finite resources. We know that money doesn't just grow on trees, and that when we raise property taxes, that's an impact on the community. We understand that. When you compare us, though, to the Public Defender's Office, and just to give you a couple of examples. And this is all according to Transparent Idaho. The Dave Martinez, the district manager for the entire district. That's not just Bannock County. That's all counties in the district. Is paid out at $155,000 a year. Ashley LaValle, who was only over the county office, is paid out at $150,000 a year. Scott Andrew, who was her second in command, position that's corollary to mine, is paid out $140,000. The scariest number here is highest paid non-management attorneys. These are attorneys such as Sean Wynn, and this is all public information. So Sean Wynn and Zach MacArthur, who have no managerial responsibility, simply handle a felony defender caseload and are being paid out $125,000 a year. That's more than I make. It's more than I believe Mr. Johnson makes at this time. So while we're not asking you to come up to what the state is paying today, we need to get into an area where we're competitive and we can at least compete with the public defenders to get attorneys to come here, so that we can address some of these issues that we discuss in the executive session, so that we can fill positions that are now going to be vacant.
And we did have a discussion when I was helping these guys put their budget sheets together, that don't ask for a lot of raises because you guys got a lot last year. There was a big movement. That was releasing this information out, and then once this information came out, it's almost like your hands are tied, just simply because it's just going to be a back and forth game of going from the public defense to here and back, and so
that's what we told the legislature.
Yeah, that unfortunately changed to the budget request, and why you see the numbers you do.
And we recognize that. And I put that in the memo because this is an arms race that has started. You guys didn't ask for it. We didn't ask for it. But it is what it is. This is what the legislature decided to do. The number here that is hopeful that I want to point out is lowest paid attorneys at the Bannock County Public Defender making about $90,000. So these are attorneys, I believe the number, it ranges from about $90,000 to about $97,000, $98,000, that area. The numbers that we propose will be competitive in getting younger attorneys. The other numbers that we proposed, I think, and I want to thank Ms. Klauser for looking into that and getting us numbers that were viable. We're hoping will be sufficient to keep the attorneys that we have, so that we can gain and grow the experience that we need to be able to retain those attorneys. We recognize there's some aspect of this that being a prosecutor takes a certain person, a special person that wants to do that work. And that's why we're not asking you to go to these numbers that the legislature has approved for the state public defenders.
Well, in addition to that, there's also the fact that, and this is going to sound incredibly arrogant on my part, but we've created a new culture, and it's not just been me alone. Both these gentlemen with me today have aided in doing that. That's created a more positive environment within the prosecutor's office, trying to move forward on that with a higher standard, which I think brings a level of personal reward in doing the work that we do. So that makes a difference as well. So like John said, it takes a certain type to be a prosecutor, and with what we're asking for with the increase in salaries, and that combined with what I can provide now, and ideally with the leadership, and the goal is to keep these people and to develop long-term employees that do the job well, comparable to Twin Falls County, where they have people that have been long-term prosecutors, so that on the whole we better accomplish the goals and what needs to be taken care of in Bannock County. So it's kind of in my mind, one of the close combinations to make this successful.
Any questions for us that we can answer?
I'm
sure you got it.
You have one other
That's just,
salary item.
that's the important part.
Yes, we do have one other salary item.
But just talk that position control number, if you would. It would be 107724.
1072, sorry.
107724.
107724.
I don't have that in front of me.
That's
What's
okay, you know.
That
you
is
know who it
the,
is.
yeah. We have a position right now where it's Ashley Simmons.
Okay.
Oh, shit. Oh, I doubled down.
I just made up for all the depression you just spread. Life is good now.
We have an admin position.
We haven't, I'm so
We
sorry.
have our 3-second delay. Will you get that, Nancy?
Well, that's like the times I've been told I've cursed from the pulpit in church.
The next one's a trap door underneath.
That's funny. You know, that's the other problem with being bald is you can now see how embarrassed I am. My whole head will turn red.
All I can see is two glows over there. The light's just right.
Don't bring anything flammable over here, we'll be in trouble. We have a administrative position. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
I'll give you a second. So originally, we talked about changing the senior admin assistant prosecutor positions and relabeling them to legal secretary. And then once we change those to legal secretary, this position could potentially either become a senior legal secretary, one grade higher, or there was also a salary recommendation done by Matthew that position could potentially be a paralegal equivalent due to the duties that person is doing, which would be a grade 10. So I'm not sure, now you can speak to whatever you would like.
The goal here is to create this position, not just for a single individual specifically, but because it makes a difference in the asset, because we effectively have one position that is the leadership role in our office as far as support staff goes. But then there's always been a secondary person that's almost as near in experience and knowledge that's carried a lot of that weight when it needs to be dispersed. Unfortunately, we don't have as many people with as much experience because they don't stick around or for whatever reason they just don't develop that.
Mhm.
So the goal was to create a position that would incentivize an individual to try to make that adjustment to fill that bill. And in order to do that, creating this position incentivizes through pay and through status and title as well to appreciate additional work that's being done already, but to categorize that such that it's not only just being done because someone's trying to be a team player, but because it's expected of them and as such is compensated. Anyone that would put in the time sufficiently long enough to get all that experience may effectively top out on the current scale and not be able to increase in any payment form without having a new position. So this isn't, like I said, it wouldn't be limited to just one person. At some point in time, I'm sure that individual will move on, but by having that spot and title available there, it incentivizes others to ideally attempt to fill that upon departure.
But there could be a couple different approaches. We could either just do the senior legal secretary
Yes.
or develop that position to a paralegal if funding isn't available. For the second option, we could go with the first option and work towards something.
Are the current assistants there, is that paralegal status that they all have, or is
No.
that? Okay.
No, in fact, I don't, the person that would currently be jockeying for that position does have a paralegal certificate. I don't know how many in the office actually do have that actual certificate or degree. So having that being part, that would be part of the requirement as well, that degree be possessed prior to even applying,
Mhm.
which also sets it apart. Because I think maybe one other support staff member actually has a paralegal degree.
And in candor, I mean, what we tend to see when we have administrative staff positions that are open, we see a lot of applications. We don't see a lot of applications with people that have a paralegal degree. So it would make sense for that position to return at a higher rate of pay than the other positions that we have open.
So then it would just be a discussion of how many of those you would need.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, I apologize for botching that from the start. That's-
Rookie mistake. You get one.
Well, I was gonna say, this is my first budget, so I do wanna, we got our budget in a timely fashion, it wasn't late.
I did that exactly the same time last year.
So do you have a preference over which name that you would use? Because if you're looking for basically a title so that it'll help you recruit, which one would you rather go to? The paralegal versus the senior, whatever it is, so.
I'd say paralegal. That would be my druthers, but
I don't have a preference either way, because I think, given the current structure of how we have things set up, where a paralegal certificate is not required for any of the other support staff, even having that title of paralegal would set the applicant apart.
Is that a good thing?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was really waiting for you to, is
Yes.
that your preferable title then, is paralegal versus the senior admin or whatever it was?
I'd say so. On the component, when you're talking about just legal administrative staff, they will spit out documents on our PBK program. They'll notify us of dates. They'll enter data into PBK. They technically should not be dealing with actually drafting memorandums and motions and arguments and things like that, whereas a paralegal is actually trained to do so.
Okay.
And so they're in a quasi, they act almost as an attorney. Always under an attorney's supervision, the attorney needs to review all their work before it's filed, but they're trained to do that kind of work, where the people that we hire off the street simply are not.
And I'm okay with going to that classification then, if it meets your needs and if it meets the income level that's for that, if we can make it work, I'm okay with that.
Before Christie and I submit the clerk's recommendation, we'll come and we'll label it exactly as you want to
Okay.
on the recommendation, so.
And the only reason I would caution against that is because you said somebody else has a paralegal degree. So they can't assume, just because they have that degree, that they get that title.
Well, I guess even if we
I-
called it like a senior paralegal or whatever.
So I just, because you have two people that already have a paralegal degree, I don't want to make them assume, well, I got a paralegal
That makes
degree, I should
I
get the
understand
same
that, I agree.
grade.
That makes a lot of sense.
So perhaps a combination
talk
of the
through
two.
that.
Yeah, we'll talk
we'll
through
sort
that.
that out.
We can figure that one out.
But that's consistent with what we've done with other things in the past, with that higher classification because of the certification, so,
Assuming the position is required to have that, then
Correct.
Yeah.
definitely.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then B budget, the only other increase was $2,000 for license and certification.
Yeah.
And that's the only B budget increase.
Yeah, correct. So, well done,
Looks good.
well done. Okay. Thank you for your leadership and for the smile this afternoon. Appreciate it.
If nothing else, I'm good for a laugh, what can I say?
I had somebody ask me yesterday, are you still having fun?
Am I still having fun?
Yeah.
I think I just proved that I'm still having fun, even at my own expense.
They asked me that.
Typically, that's the most fun I have, is when I do
And so-
something that makes me look like a
So
clown.
as Bannock County's prosecutor, which was your the choice, are you still having fun? So-
Yes, I am enjoying
Okay.
this. So yeah, we're good.
And I will be back in on Monday, and we'll get caught up on the civil stuff.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
luck.
you.
And they're in the hallway. Fair's in the hallway.
79 or 49?
47.
What is it? 46?
47?
47, 48, and 49.
Hey.
Hi.
Little musical chairs.
We do that often. guys look like you've had a long day.
I think she just
Long
called you
week.
pretty. Like, you look good.
Well, go ahead and introduce yourself and then just hit the highlights of your budget that you think we need to talk about, so go ahead.
Okay, we're the Bannock County Fair Board, and I'm Delynn Moser Evans.
I'm Jamie Pearson, Fair Board Coordinator.
Alex Hauser, grounds coordinator, or maintenance.
That was for maintenance.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we didn't increase our request on anything other than what we were guessing on as far as what we're going to need for the new building. So, oh, and the fuel for the new water truck. So we increased that a little bit because we'll be using that a lot more. Our events are increasing a little bit.
What, page 47?
47.
47.
So we asked for an increase in electricity, water, and heat other than fuel. And those are just guesses. Worked with Christy on the electricity. We were trying to guess close to, she pulled up what it costs for the McCammon shop. And that's square footage wise as close as we could come. So it's strictly a guess. We don't know what it's going to cost for the new building as far as these increases. That's all we have on that one.
It's going to be a cool building.
Yeah.
We did talk about there's going to need to be an inventory count for all of the kitchen supplies. It's going to need tracked.
Okay.
And then we'll just have to, as that building is rented, check it back
Inventory
after you've done it.
Okay.
Just to confirm
Tables,
it.
chairs,
Yep,
all that
everything.
stuff there.
Yeah.
And going to the, he's got
Load it
a
up.
big truckload of chairs and stuff.
Yeah. So we'll have all that inventoried and tracked and,
So is there tags?
Will that go on
Yeah.
assets? Is there enough to
Yes.
be assets?
even if it's not, we can,
Okay.
to make it
Just
easier to
sure,
track.
and then every year we count and we know.
Yeah, and I wonder if we should, because if that building's gonna be rented out, if we should have some sort of budget for replacement items. Chairs are gonna get broken, things like that, so we might wanna add actually a little bit of a contingency.
Just put
We
that in
didn't
the
ask for an
fees.
increase in our repair and maintenance, but I think that's what it would fall under, wouldn't
Okay,
it?
you think, okay. We
Or
can try
operating
that.
supplies, I guess, if
Okay.
PTM still.
We can try that for this year, sorry, I'm thinking out loud that.
But I think
that's-
that, a lot of that will come in fees.
It-
So,
It will, but
So-
if we're expending the money, we'll have to
yeah.
still account for it. But we might just need to have that
We'll look at it.
somewhere.
Hopefully,
And
we
we're open to, if you guys have
I didn't think
a
about
closer
Hopefully
guess on
research.
what the utilities are gonna cost us, because we don't know.
Spend anything.
How'd
Neither do
you come up with the 2,400 for internet?
Oh,
That is-
That is
actually-
because it's
That was a bid.
$187 a month.
Yeah.
That we do know.
Yeah.
That's on our operations.
Wow.
yeah, it was-
You guys better have lightning speed for that price.
That
No
was,
kidding.
That's the one that Dan's put in.
that was the
It
one that the
is.
board approved.
it is. Shanda come to us, talk to us about it. Who's the
It's-
carrier? I think it's fiber, isn't it?
I think,
Yeah, it's fiber.
Yeah, it
You
is
have to
fiber.
have
I mean, it
fiber
should be
because-
good at that price.
Yeah, and you have to have that because of the security cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have that paperwork somewhere that
I
should be
remember
right.
Yeah, that's a big jump,
I
because
remember
we're
the
paying
conversation
$600 a
now,
month
but
now.
When I first saw it, I
That's a
thought,
lot.
Or a year.
it was like Star Trek prices.
Yeah.
But
With cameras, I can.
That's the one we do know.
Outta
that it's
here.
gonna be.
Okay. Good.
We didn't ask for any increases in Piney's or in the fair budget, the fair.
Exhibit.
Exhibit, yeah. We're getting a little bit more creative. We're trying to keep it, the entertainment's getting more and more expensive, I guess you guys probably know because of the event center. We're starting to look at, we decided after we did the Neil McCoy thing that we should not be in the concert business at all. It was too hard. So we're starting to look at like more local groups. We're drawing people out of Utah. We're using Real Bliss, is based out of here. And they're bringing a crowd with them, so it's helping the fair, it's helping the vendors.
They're just singing and dancing in that one building, aren't they? You know, instead of putting up a new stage or whatever, you're just using that open.
On Thursday and Friday night, we actually do the stage in the
Okay.
baseball diamond.
Okay.
So if we ever decide to go bigger concert again, we'll have to figure out a night that we can do it. in the arena, because it's just too hard to enclose that baseball diamond to charge for it. And that's where we ran into Neil McCoy, was that it was all barricaded, and it kind of took away the fun of the fair, because the fences were up all week.
So, last year we took out the amount of money for you guys to do your own events out there.
And put it under Scott.
And we put it under, well,
Well,
we put it under Scott's budget with the thought that it really wasn't fair related. That's a little difficult for Scott, because if the money doesn't come in, that's an enterprise fund. So if the money doesn't come in, his other events are subsidizing it. So we had a very brief discussion today about possibly putting it under the general fund.
we canceled our fall event because of it, because we couldn't guarantee that we were gonna be revenue neutral.
Right,
So we didn't do the street gala last year.
okay.
And it was missed by the community. And we didn't plan a spring event this year because we just don't know how many people we're gonna draw.
Right.
And how do we know, if we use $2,500, we don't know if we're gonna make $2,500.
So if there's a request for an event such as that, it's probably not appropriate to use fair dollars, because fair is specific to the week of the fair. The fair maintenance budget is just for the grounds and maintenance of the facility. So the only other place that that could potentially go to would be the general fund, unless there was a subsidy that could be provided if not enough money is raised to hold that event. So I don't know.
Well, if we put it under the general fund, it's under the commission, you just come and have a conversation with us.
So
So
we
we come
can,
with our proposal,
Pretty
this is what
simple.
we wanna do, this is what
Just
our
under the-
proposal is, this is how we wanna do it.
Yeah, it's under our budget.
and we can put it,
And we were starting, in our spook alley, we were starting to build momentum, so hopefully we haven't lost that.
so we'll probably throw that under county operations, just because that's our catch-all. But we can add that. Do you have a dollar amount?
We were up to, I think we did $7,000 a year before last, and we had it in our operating supplies one,
And I think we did,
but we did
10.
5 last year, or 5 each, so
Five each,
10 last
okay.
year.
so,
And so that money, so I have a question. If that money went into Scott's enterprise and it was funded by us, do we get that back, or was that funded
you
by
never
his
did an
enterprise?
event. You didn't do an event that year.
Right,
This year.
this last year?
Yeah, and that was the only time it was put in there.
Okay,
So it was moved in '25, and there were no events, so there's nothing,
okay,
no revenue, no expenses that need to be dealt with.
okay.
But what we can do for '26 is put, for discussion purposes, 10,000 in county operations, and then if you don't bring in enough money, then the taxpayers are paying for it.
It's gonna be a lot easier now that we have a building and we have somewhere to,
Yeah.
I wanna do a spring event called Let's Get Growing, that teaches people how to grow gardens and when to grow and what can grow next to each other, and I think it can bring in some 4-H aspects with the kids.
And 4-H could help you out with it?
Yeah, because then we have lots of volunteers.
So when do you plant?
Not before 7's gone off the mountain, right?
It's supposed to be freezing this weekend.
Is it really?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Really? I don't plant anything.
My
so-
garden's just up there, just right to be froze.
Wow.
I ordered fake flowers,
So does Marilyn
I'm with
Brown.
you.
so I can leave it in the winter.
I'm with you.
Say the poinsettias.
Yeah.
Okay,
Fair exhibit.
Exhibit, yeah.
is that what we just
I
worked
think
through?
we just did them all, didn't we?
Yeah, we just worked
You
through
can
it.
spend that one too.
Well, our exhibit is the operations one. We did ask for extra monies in the office and as far as office equipment and operating supplies, and then the internet, so I guess we don't know what we're gonna need in the new building, so we did it as in case we needed an extra computer or a printer. The 2 printers that we did have in the office down there, are they still in the shop or did you move them somewhere?
No, they're
Because
still-
we couldn't get rid of them because they're an asset, but neither one of them work. So we moved them to the shop.
Oh, we should have just gotten rid of them if they didn't work.
Yeah,
We need to get them off the books.
One has got a
Asset sticker.
sticker on it and the other one doesn't.
Okay.
Take a picture of them, send it to us
I think they're valleys.
to get rid of.
Okay, and you're not, are you paying anything on them? Okay.
But we will need a printer, because we're gonna need something that'll work.
1970s maybe.
See if Adam's got something?
Who?
Adam?
Maybe a
Okay.
graph machine.
And if he doesn't have
Well-
something, then,
Well, honestly, we just had 2 printers. One of them, we just sent them back.
We got rid of
That
them.
we got rid of, I think.
oh, the copiers?
Yeah, printer,
One
copier.
or two.
It was a whole bit.
So we have 2 littler ones that we use when we do the fair entries.
Okay.
That we can throw in the office as we need it, like during fair week, this week, this year, because it's gonna be so new. But if we want to set it up as an actual
Office.
office in there with a nice big printer that.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes, we did.
So we did put a little bit there, and like I said, because I did the increases, and this is my suggestion to the board, it's strictly a guess. I mean, Christie helped me with the utilities a little bit, but we don't know.
After the first year, we'll have a better idea.
Yeah,
And we might be low, we might be way high, I don't know.
I think you're close.
The only one that I know that we're pretty close on is the internet. But we're pretty careful with our budget if we need to move a few things, and as long as I keep in contact with Christie and she knows where I'm.
And if it changes the aspect of how the budget was when we set the budget, if it changes that, then we'll bring it before the board. But
Yeah.
if it stays within the natural scope of work, then we'll just make it work.
And I would say, because they didn't say it, the board decided they did not want a lot of capital improvements, hopefully to show restraint and get more information that down the road, if they do need to change those horse barns, they would be in a much better position a year or 2 down the road. So
Yes.
rather than,
We're trying
you're
to
gonna
be
get the
really
new
careful.
building this year, we'll look at it again next year to see what takes place, and so the board was really good about saying, yeah, we don't want anything extra. We want to build up our reserves and see which way we want to go with that. So thanks to the, again, I think the board did a great job of going through that. So
Well, and we, the sponsor we're working with, they are still on board. They're even interested in going a little bit higher, but it's gonna take them a little bit of time to build their funds also. So the partnership was still there, it's just, we gotta give it a minute to grow.
which I think is a great move, just to slow down, make sure we do it right.
Yeah.
Take what we get this year
Yeah.
and make it right, and then go from there.
Learn the lessons of the building and
Yeah,
everything we need to do before we,
yeah, there's
Do
some,
more.
yeah, we've learned a lot of stuff with that building and the costs and with the other building up in there that will benefit.
Dan is,
It'll
A
benefit
lot of time.
the fair
Oh, yeah.
when we get around to maybe expanding or new buildings or whatever, so anyway.
so, not budget.
Probably need to maybe have you guys send Dan down just to do a quick walkthrough on those buildings safety-wise before fair. He's been through them a couple times, but maybe just one last quick look,
He's still down there every single day.
just to make sure.
With paint clothes on.
Tile closed today.
Is it?
There's a picture.
Oh, yeah.
Got the bathroom
I
tile.
got my
So-
paint clothes on.
Are you ready for August?
Yeah,
We're
we
ready.
finished up the book, well, it's gonna go to
Yeah.
printer, it's getting proofed today. So all our entertainment's done. Contests are ready. You guys are all gonna be at the baked potato bar, right?
That's what I was gonna ask. Are we
Yeah.
doing baked potatoes again?
Yeah. and it's all that's in
With
there.
with the ribbon cutting ahead of that. I
Yes.
think we talked about.
Well, when I called Christie said, I didn't put the ribbon cutting in the book, because I did do a page about the new building, but she said, don't put it in there in case something, no, you, Christie, other Christie.
It'll be close enough, we'll have a ribbon cutting, I think.
But I could put it in the book, because it's not going to print till tomorrow afternoon, but I don't know if you
It
guys
doesn't-
want to
It
formalize
doesn't need to
it.
be part of the.
People that'll be there will be there.
Yeah.
Well, in the book.
We'll have Emma
we've-
put a bunch
we've-
of stuff out.
We went from doing 5,000 books down to 1,000 to save money, and we do a little QR code, and it's got, the basic schedule on the back of, what's coming, and then the front of the book with the QR code. 4-H is going to all the parades, the 4th of July parade, 24th, all the parades. We're doing a banner, they're gonna walk and they're gonna pass out those, and those things are like 4 cents. These things are like $8 each, and we were passing 4,000 of them out,
And it's so easy, because then all they have to do is scan that little QR code, pull it up on their phone, and go whatever page they want to go, so.
Which is the way people are going now.
Everybody's
They're
doing
not
it. When
printing.
we do RMAF, everything is on our phone.
Well, we want to focus on making sure we go from Ingham north, so that we can let that group know that there is a fair, because it's awful how when I go into places and I start talking about it, the amount of people that don't even know we have a fair, and yet we try to get the word out there, so we're hoping that this will help.
Sheep barn, all done, all ready?
All ready
You
to-
excited?
Yep, yeah.
We've
Yeah,
used
it's
it.
Yeah, so it's all good. Yeah, everything's ready to go. So,
What have you used it for?
We had a horse show last month, and we have one again this month.
yeah,
This
so
weekend, in fact.
they didn't actually use it, so
Oh, they didn't? Oh.
it was available if they wanted to, but they didn't have to use it for stalls or something for horses. But we had enough of the other barn, so it was plenty.
And then your vehicles are down there? Or yet, or not? Still at Scott's?
What vehicles?
Side by sides or the golf
Those are all down
cart?
there,
Everything's
and
down there.
he-
Yeah.
We got the
Golf
water truck.
balls, side by side,
And the water
Yeah.
truck?
and the water truck.
He told me he delivered that down there.
Yeah.
Yep,
Well, and we
it's
did
all good
open
to-
up the doors to the sheep barn when we had sheep weigh in, and it was so fun to see the parents and the kids go in there so excited about that.
Yeah,
So they were real happy.
Good.
yeah, everything's going good.
So Ken talked to us about, proof of utilization, what we talked about at the Fair Board meeting, about who's using, what part of counties and where they're coming from to use our grounds.
We just
Yes.
talked like anything they do, somehow, let's get a feel for where the people are coming from, whether it's our county, somebody else's county, just however we can do it to get a feel for who's coming and where they're coming from. That's just standard with anything now. And so I think it'd almost be nice, that one lady had a lot of it, but your QR codes, who's scanning those? There's got to be some information that we can capture, letting us know where they're coming from, whether they're coming from Caribou County or Malad, to come through our doors.
Right in Franklin. There's a lot of them. coming out
Yeah,
of
and it'd be nice to capture that information, because then you could go to the advertisers and say, hey, this many people come to our fair from Franklin County, would you sponsor it? Would you put an ad in there? That's what I would like to see, a plan
So-
of how you justify it.
There is a group that we can join through RMAF. It's called Placer AI. And I think it was 3 years ago, they approached me and asked me to do it, and they gave me a sample of what they could provide during Fair Week, and we had 33,500 people, was what they figured. It's all tracked through cell phones. So, it was a report that told me that like 17 people left our fair and went to dinner at Texas Roadhouse. I mean, it was pretty, and 45 people went to Logan. I mean, they could tell
Yeah.
where the people went with their cell phones. It's expensive, so we've always told them no. Without being part of RMAF, it's about $12,000 a year. And I said, we need it 1 week. But now our events are increasing, so we have a little bit more of a need for it. Through RMAF, we can get it for $7,500 a year. I've even tried talking them into doing it for just a month, just so that, can you do us a monthly price? They won't do it. I talked to Scott to see if he was interested in maybe piggybacking with us, so that would give him a ton of information for his concerts, his rodeos, all that kind of stuff. He said that he was looking at something that the city of Pocatello does, some kind of trade tracking. I don't know. I told him I would get a price, maybe a mini 15-minute introduction video, so that everybody can take a look at it and say, this is the kind of information they can provide us. If that's something you want me to bring to you guys, or just take to Scott, or just do it as a fair board. It's valuable information. It was pretty in-depth. It could give you the age groups, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, we should look at it.
So let me get a hold
Work
of
with
the guy.
Scott, because he would benefit from it as.
And I did call him, and he said he'd look at it, but it wasn't, he's got a lot going on, so.
Right now, his schedule's.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it might be poor timing, but I still think there's some value in knowing who's using our resources. We talked about license plates,
Right.
up there for not only for security, but it would be wonderful to capture that information economically. That is valuable information to
Right.
sell sponsorships, or even through concerts or whatever, to say, here's our demographics. Here's the age group, here's where they're coming from for our chamber could use that, you know, and the same, even that auditorium district up there, which I go through there, it's amazing the people that are flowing through that thing.
Right.
I think we're ignoring the great potential we have here in Bannock County. If we don't do something, don't know, but I'd get more information first.
Let me get some more information from Placer and see if they can't do like a mini introduction video and at least get it to you guys. And then we can decide if we want to move forward. And like I said, it's a lot. $7,500 for our budget is a lot. But if we could utilize it countywide because of our RMF membership, you know, share the cost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do
get some
a little
information.
more homework on it.
Okay. I can
Okay,
do that.
any other questions?
Do you
Okay,
want to finish? the
Thank you.
county? Do you want to just run through the commission ones really quick?
yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
You don't even have to use your book if you don't want to. These will be easy.
Junior college.
Oh,
Well, let's do contingencies, 200,000. That's just a placeholder.
Works for me.
It's what we've had for the last handful of years. Fair District, 11,000, that's what they've asked
Yep.
for. And then
Waterway,
Health Department, it's what they asked for. Really don't have the abilities there to dispute it. Went down a little bit for the record.
$1,000.
Good job, Ernie.
Opioid funds, I believe Christie left that dollar amount the same, just based on the fact that we really don't have any new.
And on that, the group that come to us and ask for them, I don't see us giving money there. Right?
what group is that?
That was the Hope.
Hope for Recovery.
no.
The only thing I would do is if we got in a position where it's a use or lose, if they're the only ones that requested it, I have no problem with it, but I think we need a lot more information rather than.
So right
Yeah.
now that's at 250, which is what it was for this year, and 25,000 for attorney fees. We're still not sure, there's the attorneys that helped get this set up, I'm not sure if we need to pay them. I was advised by prior legal that unless they send us a bill, we're not. So that's where that's left at. And then waterways, I have it at 25,000 right now. I'll continue to watch it through the clerk's recommendation. If revenues come up, we'll increase that, just because we have to spend what we have to spend. I do have money still this year that needs spent.
Well, didn't we got to put a meter in up there
Scott said,
for this year?
I asked him about that, and I don't remember what he said now.
Oh, he said there was one up there.
Yes. So there's not that
But
needed.
there's only one.
But he had something else he could do. The problem is now we're in his busy season, and
Well,
we need to get it spent, and he's gonna be busy until September.
I want to put a dock off the back of or a deck off the back of the wellness, or the amphitheater. Could we use waterways money for that?
Depending on the scope
What it's
that
used
the
for?
dock is gonna be.
It could be used to fish off of.
Or kayaks?
Or
Throw
kayaks.
rocks in our pond.
There was a little, there was a discussion last year, it was gonna be a little more elaborate than I
On the
think
ice.
waterways could have worked.
Well,
but-
it might be.
Skipping rocks. I could say you could use everything there as much as you use anywhere else around that pond, whether it's jumping out, swimming, kayaking, fishing.
Jeff knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Like I say, you might have a concert right there off of that. Somebody wants to play their guitar out there to the crowd.
Yeah.
We're still gonna have a movie off of it. Jaws.
Yeah.
Everybody
At least
can
the sound
come and be
effects.
in the pond.
3D done.
Okay.
And the last one was public
3D.
theaters, and it's just rent for next year, assuming we're gonna have it. Actually, she might have also added money for child protective. What are the orders that the state may or may not pay for?
Oh, the child protective. Yes. Isn't
Yeah,
that
those.
CPS?
Okay. And I think we added, almost there, yeah,
Yeah. How much?
50 for conflict attorney for parental rights.
And we might be able to take that.
I'll just look and see.
So is that
I've also-
conflict in case we have a conflict
No,
with
that's
one
the
of
one
our
we're
attorneys or?
That's what we're still arguing with the state over, because
Right.
the state is making the counties pay for the child protective cases that are indigent, which is why they took.
Mom and dad's in jail, they're indigent, so ends up being our responsibility.
Yeah.
So, those are the only things, and we can continue to assess and discuss those.
As we go.
Okay, anything else before we're done? It's been a good, long day today.
It's been a day.
We rode the
And one
bus
slip
today.
up with the,
Oh,
with the name, huh? I'm surprised only one.
All right,
Okay.
with that, we are